Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So this evening we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, 6th chapter, verse number 17, Dhyan Yoga. Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chesta sukarmaso Yukta sapna bhodasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmaso Yukta sapna bhodasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmasu Yukta sapna bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmasu Yukta sapna bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmasu Yukta sapna bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmasu Yukta sapna bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yuktahara viharasya Yukta chestasya karmasu Yukta sapna bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkha Yukta regulated Ahara eating Viharasya recreation Yukta regulated Chestasya of one who works for maintenance Karmasu in discharging duties Yukta regulated Swapna avbodhasya sleep and wakefulness Yoga practice of yoga Bhavati becomes Dukkha diminishing pains. Translation purported by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Purport. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food, Lord Krishna is offered according to Bhagavad Gita 9.26. Vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption or not in category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyartha kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami. who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes even not even that. Thakur Hardas would not even accept prasadam, not even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Sri Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse in Bhagavad Gita. So now in Dhyan Yoga, Krishna is explaining about the regulated lifestyle, how to organize our life. So in today's world, this is called art of living or art of reliving. Today's world, what we say, people are looking for expert management people or expert people who can guide you to have a good life. So here Krishna is giving a very good formula, and here Krishna is explaining about 4 things. That is our Yukta Ahara, Vihara, then Karma and Swapna. There are 4 things in which we have to be regulated. The first thing comes is eating, then recreation, then Krishna explains about work, then in the end sleep. So here what we see, why Krishna is explaining first Yukta Ahara. All of you know what is Ahara? Food. So today's world, we don't know. People, they eat whatever they like. There is no control on eating. So this body is called Vyadhi Mandir. Anyone knows what is Vyadhi Mandir? Mandir means temple, but it is a Vyadhi Mandir. Vyadhi means like our body, we have so many diseases. So doctors, they explain 90% of the diseases they are pertaining to your stomach, 90%, 10% other organs of the body. So we can understand. So out of these 4 things, eating is very important. So Krishna is taking the first thing as Yukta Ahara. Krishna, he first doesn't explain about sleeping. First he explains about Ahara. So we'll try to put little more light, emphasis on Ahara. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains, for a spiritualist there are 3 kinds of health. Our acharyas, they have given good insight. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, the first is physical health, then mental health, then spiritual health. So physical health means our physical body, if it is good, then our mental body is automatically good, and when it is mentally good, then of course we can think of spiritual activities, or we can have a good spiritual life. So here Krishna Yukta means only the quantity needed for the body, and not our tongue or belly. So we should not allow our tongue to make decision. Many times when it comes to eating, so our tongue makes the decision. Maybe our mind sometimes about the quantity. But as far as the decision goes of eating, the tongue decides what is the best thing. So here Krishna is explaining about the diet regulation for a yogi. Of course, even we are bhakti yogis. This doesn't apply only for Ashtanga yogi, we should know. So who is a yogi? What is the definition of a yogi? In the matter of eating, So what they say, a person one who eats once a day, he is a yogi, and a person one who eats twice a day, he is a bhogi, and one who eats thrice a day, he is called a rogi, diseased person. And in one language there is this, in Kannada, in India there is one language. The fourth terminology they explain, that fourth is that they say hetkond hogi, that means you have to carry him in a stretcher. So we say fourth, this thing is maharogi, yogi, bhogi, rogi and maharogi. Maharogi means a person who has multiple diseases. So that this is the state of modern world today. So as per yogic lifestyle, what they will explain, that half the belly, we have to fill our belly only half with food, 1/4 for water and 1/4 for breathing the air. Now just one example, supposing if you are using a grinder in your house, fine, and you are grinding something and you fill the jar completely up to the neck, your grinder will not move, isn't it? There has to be some space, some air for the matter, item whatever you put to grind. All of you are getting? So similarly our stomach also works on that principle. There is some air required, there is some gap for breathing, because our breathing is done through the lungs, through the stomach. So always we should remember that our stomach needs some space for digestion. Also here Krishna what is explaining, that we have to be regulated in these 4 items. So he first starts with our food habits. Yukta ahara. Ahara means that which is authorized food. So if we see for human being, Lord Krishna also explains in 9.26 what is human food. Also in the 17th chapter Krishna explains food in the mode of goodness. So we should, Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 1st chapter, 10th verse, Prayana alpa avishya kalo asmin yuge jana manda sumand matayo mand bhagya hi upadata. Prabhupada he writes very nice in purport, what he explains, in Kali Yuga the duration of life is shortened not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. So now Krishna today is explaining about 4 habits. Eating, then our recreation, work and sleeping. So Prabhupada explains that because of irregular habits, by keeping regular habits and eating simple food, a man can maintain his health. Overeating, over sense gratification, over dependence on another's mercy and artificial standard of living sap the living vitality of human energy. Therefore the duration of life is shortened. This is what applies to people, those who live in the city. So this is a practically real part. And material world what we see, there is one saying, live to eat and eat to live. So today most of the people, they are only living for eating only. Most of the people, like in big countries there are luxury liners. Anyone knows luxury liners? Big cruise ship. They take you for, like, cruise for 2-3 countries. It is like 15 days cruise, sometimes 1 week, and they offer you 5 meals a day. How many? 5 meals. And on board sometimes there are 2,000, 3,000 people. And what people think, we are paid such a big money, we should eat. Even they are not hungry, from morning 5 until night 12 o'clock they are eating, because what they think, we are paid for this. And it is reported that out of 2,000 people, at least 10 to 12 people die in the voyage itself, in the ocean itself, and they can't keep the body in the ship. They lower, as per the rules, they lower the body in the ocean in this thing, whatever that box is there, where they put the dead body. So material world what we see, people, like today's world, especially what we see, in the olden time, at least people were regulated, because there was no light and no entertainment, and people used to take before sunset food and all. Like today, people are filling their fridge with so many food, so many other things. And in America, every third person is overweight. In today's this thing, every third person is overweight. Like my grandmother one time she was telling, like in India also olden time, the people sometimes they used to overweight when they used to go for marriage. So one time one person was there in our village, and what he used to do, he used to go for any marriage, there he will eat stomach full, and he will come home, he will then fast for 1 or 2 days. So there is a saying that even a fool can fast, only a wise person knows how to break the fast. So when you fast, then when you break the fast, so you have to gradually break the fast. You can't just fill your belly like closing down a reactor, or Jatragni goes down. Again, to revive that, you have to gradually eat very slowly. It's not that after Bhima Ekadasi there is a big feast. It is seen in our temples. After a big fasting, there is a big feasting also. So that has a very adverse effect that we don't understand usually. So this man, he went for a marriage and he ate a big meal, and he came home and somehow he couldn't breathe, He just somehow it got blocked, and he was shouting, I am dying, I am dying. But he was telling the house people, don't lament, because I am not dying hungry. He was telling that I am not dying hungry. There is no cause to lament for that. So in the scripture, for a yogi there are 3 kinds of diet mentioned according to Desha, Kala, Patra and season. So first is called Hita Bhuka, then Mita Bhuka and Ritu Bhuka. So now Hita Bhuka means, Hita means good, Hitakarino, Lokanam Hitakarino. Hita means that which is good for my body, that which is good for me. Like a boy who is having 16 years, that same 60-year-old person can't digest that food, what a 16-year-old boy can eat. So first is Hita Bhuka. Hita means simple and good for the body and not the tongue. That is called Hita Bhuka. Means a person who takes only the food which is good for the body. Then Mita Bhuka. In 26 qualities of Vaishnavas, it is mentioned that a Vaishnava is a Mita Bhuka, and he eats only required amount of food. A simple and moderate, as and when hungry. Now what we see our Goswamis, Sanatana Goswami, Rup Goswami, they used to do Madhukari. Just they used to go to 4 homes, and whatever they used to take, that was Mita Bhuka, very little food. Then the third is called Ritu. Ritu means seasons. So in olden time there were 6 seasons. In India there was mentioned that 6 seasons. Grishma, Vaishakha, Hemanta, Varsha, Shishir and Sharad. These are the 6 seasons. So according to the seasons, also in the scripture it is mentioned, if someone wants to eat more, anyone knows when one can eat more, if someone likes to eat more. Which is the season mentioned when one can eat more? Winter season, correct, good. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that if someone feels like to eat more, then only in the winter he can eat, because winter the digestion is very, very fast. Digestive power is very fast. So today what we see, so people they don't know how much quantity to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. Like I often travel by a train. It goes all the way from Maharashtra to Punjab, Amritsar, Sachkhand Express. Lot many Sikhs, Sardarjis, they travel in this train, and every 1 hour they eat, from morning till late night. Every 1 hour they are eating something or the other thing. So today what we see, totally our energy is going into just digesting this food. So this way what is happening, that our energy is diverted today just in digesting this food, and we get so many diseases. One time I came across one big Sethji. So he was eating his food in the train. So he finished 1 box and he took out another box. I was thinking, wait, now he's taking another meal, but it was a medicine box. It was a big medicine box, and a lot many medicines were there. And I was amazed. And I asked, how many how many kinds of medicines you are taking? कितने बीमारी है आपको? So what he said, you ask me how many diseases I don't have. I have all the diseases. And practically for all the diseases I have to take 10-20 tablets. So this is the state of modern world, that for everything we need tablet, goli. So this is what happens in material world, because the media is brainwashing. Just do it, just eat it. What we see, and today India also, most of the food stuff now, it is coming in packs, even from 50 paise to 1 rupee to 100 rupees. So all this western, this in garbage is coming to India. So this is what happens in modern world, that people, they don't know what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. In the olden time there was a saying, eat while you eat, sleep while you sleep, play while you play. So this is what, this makes you healthy, wealthy and wise. But today, more or less, it is forgotten. So Prabhupada, he mentions in Bhagavad Gita 3.11 purport, Ahara Shuddhav Sattva Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddhi Dhruva Smriti Lagde, Sarva Grantinam Vipra Moksha. There is a saying, you are what you eat. Jaise Anna, Vaise Man. There is a saying. So here Prabhupada explains, by performance of one's yajna, one's eatables becomes sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuff, one's existence becomes purified, and by the purification of one's existence, finer tissues develop in memory, and memory becomes sanctified, and when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation, and all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So in the olden time there was one person called Hippocrates. He was called the father of ancient medicines. So what he said, so thy food shall be thy medicine, and thy medicine shall be thy food. So that was his saying, that our food should be our medicine should be like our food. So this way also there are some quotes, like it is explained, a sadhu, ascetic one who falls to the opposite gender, and a sadhu who falls to in front of a plate of food, both are one and the same. So there is no difference for a person who is practicing devotional service. So Prabhupada explains here in the purport, as far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept Krishna Prasadam, sanctified food. So olden time what we see, Prabhupada, he encouraged devotees to take more and more prasadam. So when we take more and more prasadam, so we lose taste for the outside food, fast food, so many junk food, so many varieties of foods are there. So we should know what food we are eating. We don't know where from the food is coming, who has cooked it. So many things are carried in the food. So also Prabhupada, in one conversation, he explains that if a person cooks his own food, he will never fall sick. Prabhupada in one conversation mentions that if a person he cooks his own food, that person he will never fall sick. So also in Bhagavad Gita, just we'll read out what Krishna explains about three kinds of food in three modes. So Krishna explains that food dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence and give strength, health, happiness and satisfaction. Such food is juicy, fatty, wholesome and pleasing to the heart. Then food in the mode of passion. Food that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery and disease. So now sometimes we can make out from the kind of food what we eat. Like it is very difficult to mention. Now also after coming to Bhakti also we keep our old habits of taking food. So from here we can make out. And also modern food, what we are buying, packed food, they are totally in the mode of ignorance. That is for sure, because you don't know when that is manufactured, that food. Either it is a soft drink or biscuits or cakes, anything. Because any food, it is more than 3 hours, it is a stale. So Krishna explains food in the mode of ignorance. food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, putrefied, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Like today, most of the food which is packed in the packets, they are using more or less artificial flavoring agents. There are many varieties of preservatives, so many things are there. They are put in the chocolates, soft drinks, and many other packets. So this all food, one way we can understand, these foods, they can and they do no good to our body. So we should know that the food which is offered to Krishna, which is sanctified, that only we can accept. And now modern trend, what we see in Vrindavan also, people who are coming from Delhi and all, they bring chocolates in nice plate to offer, chocolate and biscuits and Cadbury chocolates to offer to Lord Krishna. They say, why don't you offer this to Krishna? So this is a joke, modern world joke. In the olden time, if you see in the temples, now also if you go to South India, there are temples, they have few different categories of baskets. One basket you can put only flowers, in one basket you can put only fruits, and different basket, one basket you can put grains, also there is one tin kept for putting oil or ghee, like that. So people today don't know what to take for the Lord as a gift. So whatever they eat, they think that God also can eat. No. So we should know what Prabhupada explains in 9.26, that is in the mode of goodness. So the first thing was about the food. So then Krishna explains about the recreation. What Prabhupada explains, since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for person in Krishna consciousness. But we are a little far off the track. There is one saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So, and that's why Prabhupada has given us the practical way of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada, he put the devotees on work according to their psychophysical nature. Psychophysical nature means everyone has his own inbuilt understanding or his way of doing work. So as far as recreation, what we can understand, so we have Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, we have festivals, dramas, bhajans, kirtans. So they are one kind of spiritual recreation. So everyone needs recreation. So recreation is just to rejuvenate our happiness. Then third point Krishna here explains is that work. So Prabhupada explains, as far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and untainted by sense gratification. So his work is regulated means, Prabhupada explains, yes, whatever we do, that we do according to, we have also our lifestyle. In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Krishna explains that Vyavasayatmika buddhir eke he kurunandana. One is one-pointed devotee. So a devotee is one-pointed. He is every day, he has the same lifestyle. Going for Mangal Arati, then Darshan Arati, Guru Puja, attending Bhagavatam class, then doing his everyday work. So this way, devotees, they can do varieties of work like preaching, there is a deity worship, teaching, book distribution. We have temple construction, farming, business, art, cooking, gardening. So we can do so varieties of work for Krishna. We can do varieties of work. There is no end. So material world, people are working for their own family, for their country, whatever, for their own this thing. But a devotee, he is working for Krishna, for Krishna's interest. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi yad asnasi, yat jivosi dadasyat, yat tapasyasi kauntya, tat kurushva mad arpanam. Krishna explains, whatever you do, eat, give away in charity. So he tells Arjuna that you do only for me. Krishna is explaining to do for Krishna. Then the fourth point, Prabhupada explains sleep. This is also very important. So as far as sleeping is concerned, A Krishna conscious person is always alert in discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. A great loss means Chanakya Pandit explains the time which is gone, even if you give millions of gold coins. Today you can't imagine the rate of gold. 30,000 rupees, 10 grams. So great loss. And then Prabhupada explains Rupa Goswami, Avartha Kalatvam. Avartha Kalatvam means a devotee never wastes his time unnecessarily. If we lose our time, we should practically lament. So as per sleeping, in Ayurveda it is mentioned what is sleep. The timing is given. When to sleep, how much sleep is required. So Prabhupada explains, for an average devotee 6 hours of sleep is more than sufficient. For children 8 to 10 hours is required. For newborn child 8 to 12 hours sleep is required. So as per Ayurveda, the sleep, Ayurveda mentions 7 p.m. to midnight, the sleep is nectarian, amritamaya. It is like nectar, the sleep, from 7 evening till midnight. Okay, from midnight until 3 o'clock, it is called watery, taral. Taral means subtle, very. Then from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., it is miserable, dukkhada, miserable, because during this time you get all the bad dreams. You are, although you are sleeping, but you are awake, subtle sleep. So after 6 a.m., after sunrise, the sleep is poisonous, vishakari. So in Krishna also, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that for devotee and for a non-devotee, what is the difference? There is one nice verse, Krishna explains, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyaham jagrati samyami. For transcendentalist, what is day? For a materialist is the night. And practically what we see, when we wake up morning 2:30, 3:30, the materialistic people, they go to sleep. As seen in Bombay, like when the Mangalarti starts, all the neighboring TVs, they go off. Till then they are watching their TV. Then they go to sleep. Okay, now it is time to sleep. So that is what is there in material world. And like some people Sundays, they don't put on the alarm also. What they think, okay, I'll get up when my sleep, when I come out of my sleep, you know. So this is what we see material world. These are the 4 items Krishna explains. But our Acharyas Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan, they also mentioned, there's one word mentioned, Yukta Chestasya. So Yukta Chestasya means regulated speech. Now, what is regulated speech? In yogic, this thing, what they say, one has to maintain mauna. You will see many Babajis in Vrindavan, many other places, they keep maun vrat. They don't speak. Sometimes they are putting, especially this, there are Jain sadhus, they don't speak much. Because speaking, your energy is lost. When you are speaking, and today we are speaking on the phone, hours together, hours and hours. People are speaking on the phone, so many things. So speaking consumes a lot of energy. If you ask some teachers who are teaching, those who have 2 period, 4 period, they can tell what is exactly speaking, you know, teaching, because they have to keep speaking, you know. That takes a big energy, big energy. So that is why the yogis, they are told to maintain their vrata. They have to, sometimes they have to maintain this mauna vrata. Like one time my Guru Maharaj was telling, there was one yogi when he came to Vrindavan. So whatever he question, they used to put in writing to that yogi, and he had one chalk piece and a small blackboard, and he will write down, and he will not speak. He will just give the answer on the chalkboard only. So this as goes for our speech. Chestasya is speaking. So they explain that we have to maintain. Prabhupada explains when it comes to speaking Krishna Katha, we can speak for hours. There is no wastage of energy in that. And I have seen there are certain devotees, they can sing for hours, and they can speak katha for hours. Still they are energetic, and they are empowered. So if we see in culmination that in Updeshamrit, what here Krishna explains. So Rupa Goswami, he mentions in Updeshamrit, the first verse, Vacho Vegam, Mana Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udrapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam Yo Visheshta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Pratim Sashishyat. That a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, then the urge of the mind, the demands of the anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also, he quotes in this, that he explains that a bona fide spiritual master can control the urges of anger, greed and lust. So here also what we see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna address Arjuna as Gudakesha, one who has conquered sleep. So why Arjuna is called Gudakesha? What is the story? Anyone knows? Why Arjuna is called Gudakesha? And you must have heard.
Fire arms in the night.
No, why? Arjuna is called Gudakesha. Gudakesha is one who has conquered the sleep. The story, you must be knowing the story. No. Not using both hands. Gudakesha. It is mentioned that while sleeping also Arjuna, from his breath, Krishna's name used to come. Krishna, when we breathe, no sound comes. When it is mentioned that when Arjuna was sleeping, that time also he was remembering Krishna. His breathing cycle, the sound used to come. Krishna's name used to come. So it is our acharyas, they explain all these four are closely connected. So eating, recreation, work and sleep. Modern world people are workaholics. Workaholics means people are working from morning 5 until night 11. So this applies for the devotees. So here is mentioned that all these four things are closely connected. When it is understood that all these four things are practiced in the right manner, the suffering can be mitigated. So Sridhar Swami explains what kind of a person is eligible to practice yoga. Sridhar Swami explains the science of yoga, the individual consciousness attaining communion with the ultimate consciousness. The answer is the person who is moderate, restrained and regulated in all activities. So Sridhar Swami explains, thus Lord Krishna states that such a person is eligible to practice yoga. And here Krishna is explaining that one who can practice all these four things is eligible. So whenever you apply for certain things, certain eligibilities, terms and conditions apply. These are the terms and conditions they apply. So then Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains Yukta means controlled, one who controls eating, then he also explains walking, ahara, vihara, and controls actions such as speech, chestasya, during execution of both material and spiritual duties, karmasu, performing yoga which destroys suffering. So then Baldev Vidyabhushan, he explains, for one who is regulated in eating and recreation with controlled actions of sense organs such as speaking, regulated to spiritual and mundane duties with regulated sleeping and waking, yoga destroys all suffering. Therefore the yogi will conduct himself in that way. Then Ramanujacharya, he explains that the compound word yukta ahara and vihara, this one word, when you see yukta ahara vihara, it is a compound word, means one who is temperate and regulated in their eating habits so that the efforts to feed oneself are minimized, allowing the efforts to achieve perfection in meditation to be maximized. Then Madhvacharya, he explains, Lord Krishna is stating that overeating, too little eating as well as extreme activity and complete inactivity are all detrimental to yoga or the science of the individual consciousness attaining communion with the ultimate consciousness. The same applies for excessive sleep and not enough sleep as well as overindulgence in work, which causes exhaustion and hence idleness. Overexhaustion means in Sanskrit they call pavarga. Pavarga means that ka ka ga ga nga pa pa bha ba ma. It's called pavarga. So as per pavarga means first comes pa, pha, bha, bha, then ma. Pa means parishram. And literally you see, from when even the child is 3 years old, we are sending him to kindergarten and all. Parishram, he has to carry a big bag, whatever it is. So everyone is doing big parishram. So while doing parishram, there is a fena. If you see practically, people who are traveling by train, their mouth is open sometimes. From the mouth, some fena means what you call in English. Not saliva. Foam. So foaming from the mouth. Especially you will see in the bull, mouth of bull and horse. So that is called fena. Bha means whatever we are doing, our energy is lost. Here is telling that using our energy unnecessarily. Then Bharta. Bharta means even if one who is earning 1 crore a day, he can't live in 10 bungalows. He can't sit in 10 cars at a time. He can't eat 10 plates of Mahaprasad. So even if one is working very hard, like during Prabhupada time, when Prabhupada was there in Allahabad, there was one big businessman, and he was requesting the doctor, why don't you increase my life by 3 years? And the doctor was saying, that is not in my hands. I can't increase your duration of life. What we see in material world, people, they are so much exhausted. So there are many people, thousands of people, they die on the working spot during the work. Now India is number 1 in suicide because of overwork. So recently somebody was telling, now Delhi is number 1. Previously Bangalore was number 1. Now Delhi is number 1 in suicide. So ma means ultimately the death is there. So for a materialistic person, recently there was a big news. There was one person, he was very famous in Hollywood, and he was a novel writer, and he did suicide. He was 63 years old, and people, they say he did this and he got overjoyed. He died. Some explain that he died because of over enjoyment, because he enjoyed that writing. Some they give that excuse, but from his post-mortem it was found that he committed suicide. He committed William Robbins. His name is William Robbins. So material world, what we see, there is a big list of people. Although they have achieved the height in their life, but their end was unfortunate. Their end was very bad, very sad. There is somebody has written a book about the 500 most renowned people of the world in their achievement, but there is no mention about their end, good mention. So this is what happens in the material world when one is not regulated. So here Madhvacharya explains that who is regulated in sleep and waking, then meditation becomes the panacea for life's affliction and royal path out of samsara, the endless cycles of birth and death. So this way we should know, this is a very important verse. We should put it in our heart, in our daily life. This verse applies in our daily life. Here Krishna explains how to organize our life, how to organize our lifestyle, the art of spiritual living. Today people are giving big money for such kinds of seminars. People are going to big speakers, and they want to know how they can live a good life, how they can lead a good life. And Krishna has already explained 5,000 years back. Because the body is, as I told before, it's called Vyadhi Mandir. Vyadhi Mandir. It is a temple of diseases. And also what we see, there are many experts in different fields, but when it comes to eating, many they badly fail. Many people, they very badly fail. So here we should understand that if we are regulated in these things, then the suffering can be overcome. Because in the spiritual life, if there is suffering, like our Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj used to explain, for a brahmachari, the biggest challenge is keeping health, keeping good health. For a brahmachari, the biggest test is his health. If he is not healthy, if his health is not good, then he is always miserable. He can't perform his devotional service in a good way. Then because his mind will be torturing every now and then. So here just we'll conclude. So what we see here, Krishna explains the four things. One who is regulated in his eating, recreation, work and sleep can mitigate all the dukkha, and whatever miseries will come, that can be mitigated. So we can try to apply this in our day-to-day life. So Hare Krishna. So anyone has any comment about this verse?